Good morning, everyone. I'm Susan Demas, the executive editor here at Lincoln Square. And joining me, as always, on Tuesday mornings is Edwin Eisendrath, who hosts It's the Democracy Stupid right here on Lincoln Square on Friday afternoons. Edwin is a former Chicago alderman, the former publisher of the Chicago Sun-Times, and he also writes a Substack by the same name, It's the Democracy Stupid. Edwin, thanks for being here.
Hi, Susan.
Well, a lot of times when we get together, the week is already off to a fairly rough start. But I do think that the president is not having the greatest week. I'm sure that at this point, everyone has seen the boos heard around the world at Madison Square Garden, but let's enjoy them.
Whose brush stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights where the
Edwin, the president was asked about this, and I think we have his take on the warm reception he received at the game.
What did you think of the reception you got from the Knicks fans tonight?
I thought it was great. I thought it was amazing, actually. You mean when they had the camera on me? I thought it was very good. Yeah. It was certainly amazing. It was. I think mostly cheers. It was loud and it was very enthusiastic.
Mr. President, ESPN commentator.
It was loud. He was correct on that. But Edwin, can't wait to hear your take on all of this.
I don't know. The man lies about everything. Everything. I mean, I'm only sorry for him that they booed so loudly they interrupted his sleep. I mean, he napped through the rest of the game.
Right.
Which was actually a pretty good game. Oh, there he is. Yeah. So I mean, the boos were one thing, making people wait for a couple hours before they could go in. I mean, in New York, where they play that game's also over Penn Station. So just, there's 600,000 commuters he made life miserable for so that he could go stand there and get booed and sleep. I mean, really, truly, he could do that anywhere in the country. He doesn't need to be there to get booed and sleep and make everybody's life uncomfortable. But, he doesn't think about anybody else ever. Not anybody else, not ever.
Yeah, it's all about him. He didn't care about the fact that a bunch of the parties had to be canceled for security reasons. He didn't care about the fans who couldn't get inside the stadium because of the insane security detail that he had to bring with him. It feels like we're watching like an old dictator do his bucket list. He's putting his name on money and his face on our passports, and he wants to build the church. And we've seen utter destruction of the White House. I mean, this started in his first term where he bulldozed the Rose Garden. Now we've got a UFC cage on the White House lawn. Of course, we know the destruction that he has caused with his ballroom. I mean, we all are just living through Donald Trump's world right now. And it's a pretty good metaphor. Like he brings destruction wherever he goes.
Yeah, but as you know, that's cute. My perspective is a little different. What we're seeing every day is Donald Trump losing. What we're seeing is him losing and lashing out and doing these insane things. But the more he does, the more the gulf between who that man is and his vision of our country and who we are and our vision of ourselves becomes obvious to everybody. I can't help myself when I see that cage and the way he thinks. He said Marco and JD, should be the next ticket, but I don't know in what order, so they could vie for his. I keep thinking that he's going to put them in the cage, right?
Oh yeah,
stand there on the balcony, thumb up or thumb down, depending on on which one it kisses his backside the loudest in front of the whole country. I mean, what he's done to sort of take over the monuments of our democracy, to make them monuments to him, and by the way, this is a for-profit venture that he owns. It's just in every way repulsive. And and Americans are turning their back on him. He can't fill the seats. He can't even pay to fill the seats. We're all busy having parties where we actually celebrate this great country, and I think people are beginning to see, the primary season is coming to an end here, and we're beginning to focus on a general election. And I think we're beginning to see a path out of this misery. Not without a lot of pain, not without him causing an enormous amount of more damage, not without him trying to cheat. I mean, he's already trying in the California election to cheat and say it's crooked. And this terrible, awful, ass-kissing Congress gave him a boatload of more money for ICE agents to be on our streets. Yeah, there we are. I mean, right, he's out there lying about elections everywhere, undermining elections everywhere, because he doesn't believe in elections. Period. He wants to tell us who should be in our government, and we shouldn't have any say about who's in our government. There's no sign of fraud in California. None. No one's found any. And when he says there is, reporters say, well, where's your evidence? Reporters should say, stop lying, you tyrant. Period. These are good elections. Stop lying.
Yeah. I mean, when you watch the footage of Trump lying about the elections, Mike Johnson, the House Speaker, Steve Scalise, I mean, when they're asked for evidence, they just sit there and they say, I don't need evidence. The only evidence you need is the fact that people doubt this election, i.e. MAGA voters, and that should be enough. And I do worry that we are in a period, Edwin, where vibes really dictate so much for not just MAGA, but for a lot of people. Like we're kind of in this post-truth society where it's just an article of faith. If Democrats win, they had to have cheated. If Republicans win, then things went okay. It sounds stupid. It sounds like, a fight at a preschool. But this is really the line that is being pushed by one of our major parties. And, when you see this breakdown that Trump had on on Meet the Press with Kristen Welker, where she deigned to actually question his evidence, what did he do? He walked out, he threw a tantrum, and he's used to being able to do this.
Right, but he looked terrible doing it. He looked like a petulant idiot. And it's one part. Not a single Democrat stood up and said, "You didn't win that last election. It was fraudulent. We counted the votes. We took the loss, and we moved on." Right? It's one party lying to the country. It's one party lying every day about everything. No, I wasn't booed. I was cheered. No, we've made peace in Iran. We're not at war with Iran. Right? I mean, everything they talk about, big and little, are lies. No, the price of gas has come down. No, everything is dishonest with them. And Americans see it and Americans know it. When it was all just politics, it was harder to see. But you know what? Every day you go to the gas station, you see it. Every day you go to the grocery store, you see it. Every day you hear the news from the Middle East where we're at war and he's saying, no, we're not, or yes, we are, or there's peace, or there's not peace. They see it. When their granddaughter is trying to have a baby in rural America and has to drive 250 miles to get to an OB/GYN, they see it. And he and his team, he can lie all the time. And so there we are, deal. 37 times we made peace with Iran. I'm going to take a minute on Iran.
Okay.
Iran is doing to Donald Trump what they did to Jimmy Carter. And Donald Trump is equally feckless in the face of it. Right? The hostages are coming home. The hostages are coming home. No, they're not. They're not coming home until the next president's in office. There is no way that Iran is going to make Donald Trump's life easier before the midterms. They're not going to do it. They are just going to string him along. They've got him over a barrel, right? And he's now made a mess for Israel and for the Arab countries. He's managed to make a mess for everybody there, right? The UAE is being hit with missiles. Israel is being told, Hezbollah is bombing you, but you can't bomb back. And now nobody's paying attention to anybody, and everybody's secretly bombing each other when they can. And in Iran, they're just saying, you know what? We're not in a hurry. We're not in a hurry. They wanted, and
I mean, they control the Strait of Hormuz. Why would they
we
be?
gave them control of the State of Hormuz. And Judd Legum had fabulous reporting that one of the sticking points is that our negotiators, Jared Kushner, wants to take frozen Iranian money and give it to the people who are employing him in the UAE, right? So this is not a team that's negotiating for the United States, a team that's negotiating for themselves, and Iran doesn't need to make peace right now. They can stomach this a while longer, and they will.
Right.
And Donald Trump can't do anything about that, which is because he's put us in a position where he has lost a war with Iran, and he has damaged America incredibly. And as long as it's going on, he can pretend that hasn't happened yet. But it has happened in the eyes of the whole world, in the Middle East, where he gave Iran a weapon as powerful as a nuclear weapon, which is control of those straits. And he did this. He did it. And everybody in America knows it.
It seems to me that what Trump wants out of this peace with Iran is he wants coverage, that he got a better deal from Iran than Obama did. And there is probably no real scenario where that happens. I mean, the 2015 deal was a success. It did deter the nuclear program in Iran. We never had a threat of the Strait of Hormuz being under Iran's control. And it seems that to appease Trump, somehow there has to be this adulation for this deal that he has struck. And the only way for that to happen is for all of us to play the role of Fox News, like they did with him being booed at Madison Square Garden, where they were like, hey, he didn't quite get the reception that he usually gets at college football. I mean, that was their headline. They're still blocking and tackling for him. And as many critiques as I might have of the media, I don't see a scenario where he's going to get that kind of coverage that completely ignores facts on the ground.
Again, it doesn't matter what the media says anymore, because people are finding other ways. Now we're years into a broken media environment, right? Where CBS is trying to be Fox, and the only thing that's happening is they're losing viewers, at a fabulous rate. Fox's audience is what it is, and I don't know if it's growing or shrinking. Not convincing anybody new. So there's a hardcore of Trump supporters out there for sure who will believe that up is down, and the lies that come out of his mouth are mostly not lies, I guess. But the poll numbers are showing that Donald Trump is sinking like a rock. And that the things he's doing are very unpopular. And that's not because all of a sudden there are more Democrats who hate him more. It's because the country actually has persuadable people in it who are making up their minds that, you know what, I may have supported him, but maybe he lied to me, or I may have supported him, but he's not good at the job, or I may have supported him, but he's really more interested in himself and his family than me. And people are saying that all over the country and moving away from him. And that's a great thing. And so I don't care if Barry Weiss is going to, make stuff up or put her thumb on the scale. It's terrible for America, for sure. Terrible. But Americans are smarter than that. And Americans are finding other sources of news. Thank God they're coming and listening to you and me, right? The facts are hard to ignore when this president has been such a terrible president in every possible way, and everybody's lives are feeling it.
Yeah, when you're paying more at the grocery store and at the pump, I don't think that you're comforted by the fact that there's going to be a UFC fight this weekend on the White House lawn. I don't think that's helping you pay your bills or making you feel that Donald Trump being president is really working out for you or this country. And we should know that as he's pouring all of this energy into things like that, into trying to make sure that we never forget him by slapping his name on whatever he can to desecrate Washington, D.C. in this country, that, there are groups out there that are diligently fighting this every step of the way. There is a lawsuit, to stop that UFC fight and the destruction of the White House. There have been multiple lawsuits against his destruction of the East Wing for the ballroom. And, I think that should give us some hope, because a lot of these groups have been successful
They've been very successful in slowing down
worst action.
Absolutely. We've slowed this man down in his efforts to destroy everything we care about and to give us the time to get organized and fight back. And let's be clear how different their view is than our view, right? That idiot Scott Bessent was confronted with Americans are in debt at great levels, and credit card debt is going through the roof as people are trying to find ways to get through this crisis. And his response wasn't, it's really hard for Americans. It was, well, I talked to those credit card companies. It doesn't look like they're going to go out of business anytime soon. Right. So okay, we know where they're focused. They're not focused on us.
Right.
Not in any way, not anyone in that administration. And the litigation that's going on the ballroom, the lawyer, it's the same lawyer, by the way, trying to defend the claw. He said in court, if we tore down the Statue of Liberty, right? And we tore it down fast enough, no one would have any standing to complain that it was illegal, because it's already
that's really what the tactics have been for this administration. It has been a smash and grab from the start.
Yep.
That's what Doge was.
Yep.
And, they've been trying to act illegally before the courts catch up, or Congress, but we know Congress being controlled by Republicans has done nothing. But,
well, yeah, they've done things, and they've done bad things.
But nothing to stop the president.
No.
Nothing to assert the fact that they are Article 1 of the Constitution and have plenty of say over the fact that we have an illegal war in Iran, for instance. They didn't have to give Trump billions upon billions of dollars for a secret police force, ICE. These were all choices by a very bad Congress, which is why all the polling shows that Democrats not only have a great chance to retake the House, but the Senate as well.
Yeah. I mean, look, the primary season's coming to an end. And then we're going to have a slate of candidates, and some of them are going to be great. A couple of them are going to be flawed. That's the way it works. But we got to elect them all, because this destruction of our country has to end. And it's not just the democracy. I mean, it's not just that the democracy is Pete Hegseth is certainly saying, oh no, you're not a Christian, but you are a Christian officially. Right. The defense Mormons aren't Christians. No, forget it. Until Mike Lee complained, and then suddenly they were. So okay, that's theology for you. Mm-hmm. If a senator complains, then I guess you change your views on God. Right? I mean, it's all utter nonsense. Nonsense.
Yeah. Well, Edwin, you wrote a really great column on America's 250th birthday. We ran that over the weekend. And I want to talk about that a little bit, because we know that Trump is gearing up for his vision of what our 250th birthday is. He had a concert planned. It imploded as, every musical act just about, from Bret Michaels to Martina McBride, pulled out because they did not want to have their names next to Donald Trump and his vision of America. Now, I guess the latest thing that Trump posted over the weekend was that he's going to have a rally. And I thought this was a very telling thing that he tweeted out. He said, we will have the greatest music ever played, the music you have listened to for years. We'll have the fabulous Lee Greenwood. So it's Lee Greenwood. It's music that Trump listened to as a little boy, and him having his little boy parade because nobody else wants to be with him. And I think that is a great segue into what you wrote about how Donald Trump is really missing the moment here and what Americans really want from their country.
Yeah. I mean, when Donald Trump looks at American history, the American history, the people in American history he admires are the enslavers, the robber barons who so exploited their workers, They are the westward expansionists who had genocidal behavior towards Native Americans who were here. This is part of American history for sure, but it is a part that we have worked very hard to recognize and to overcome, and to be a different and better place. And all of that work to overcome, to be better than that, is the history he's trying to erase. Mm-hmm. Right? It's the history books that he's kicking out of schools. It's the courses he's not allowing taught in college. It's the museum exhibitions he's pulling down. Those are all about how we looked at that part of our history and we said, no, that is not the best. And the best of us is when we all come together and decide how we're going to move this nation forward. The greatest contrast in the world between Trump's vision of America is what I saw when I went to the Obama Center and looked at the exhibits on America that he has on the movement of Americans to increase rights for everybody, right? But Donald Trump wants to erase all of that and wants us to think ownership, coercion, these are the things that matter. These are the things that define us, what we own, who we can push around. And that's a point of view. It has some foothold in our history for sure, but it isn't the history that most Americans are most proud of, right? It's the history that most Americans say, we can do better, and we have done better. And in our best moments, we've done a lot better. And that's the direction the country wants to go. And that's the country that's being celebrated. Barbecues all over the place for the 4th of July and in parties everywhere for the 4th of July. It is this massive, wonderful, enormous, crazy, diverse country that we are, where, you got people like you and me, and we got people who believe that Donald Trump was cheered, right? I mean, we're all here in this place, and we have to find ways to work together to make life better for us. The problem right now is those guys don't want to work with us. They want us part of their country. And that's not a democracy, and it's not a great nation, and it's not even a great society for people to live in. Their view results in hospital closures, in kids going hungry, in child labor in factories, in prices going way up, in people's lives getting harder, and in this class of billionaires that support him taking everything we own. Right? That's their view of the world. It just doesn't happen to be the view of Americans. And it's in these contrasting 4th of July celebrations on our 250th. Nothing could be clearer. Nothing could be clearer.
Yeah. When you think of Donald Trump's vision for this country, I think one of the best ways that you can see that is if you look at his Truth Social account, which, I mean, really, he spends more time posting than he does any real aspect of his job. And the fact that you have this 80-year-old man posting through the entire night is just such a giant red flag. It would be for any member of your family, but, certainly for the commander in chief. And, if you spend any time going through his account, all of this white nationalist propaganda, it's so explicit, it's all of these memes about how this is what they stole from you. And like these idyllic visions of white people in the 50s. He does a series of this, and the Department of Homeland Security goes even further than all this, because their solution is violence to get us back to this point. Their solution is that we need to violently deport people and harm people so that we become this white nation that they want us to be. That is in such contrast to the history of this country and what makes America great, because we are a melting pot, and this isn't a new construct from the last couple decades. This has always been the story of America. The only people that were ever in America originally are the Native Americans. The rest of us all came here one way or another and made this country the weird, diverse, beautiful country that it is. And Donald Trump really doesn't understand that at all.
He hates it. I mean, the other things he's posting are images of him flying a plane, dumping excrement on cities like mine, right? He hates it. I mean, a president who thinks it's okay to say, I'm going to drop a plane load of crap on an American city, you know, in any other normal time, he'd have been thrown out of office. The problem is that he and right-wing media over the years has created such a deep well of hate for a lot of us, a lot of other Americans, that somehow that gets cheered. But I think reality is breaking in, and you know, we don't hate them back. We're just going to beat them and restore a government that works. But that means that we have to tell the truth. I mean, it doesn't just mean that we have to take power back. It means we have to use power to restore the truth. And that means, of course, taking the temples of their lies, you've heard me say this before, and repurposing them for other things. You know, I mean, if he builds that ballroom, tear it down. Mar-a-Lago should be used for something else. If he builds his arch, retire the federal debt by giving a sledgehammer and everybody pays $10 to knock it down. You know, I mean, this is just, we have to be honest about who we are and who we are not.
Yeah.
And we, you know what? We are not a nation formed and founded on the principle that the one who has the power to coerce and to take your money is the winner. In fact, that was King George III. We actually had, our revolution was actually against that. So like he changed sides in the Ukraine war, he changed sides in our Revolutionary War. You know, he's changed sides in the Civil War. I mean, all of these battles that define who we are. He's changed us. If you listen to Pete Hegseth on D-Day, they changed sides in World War II.
Yeah,
So,
I think actually we have that clip. It was striking.
striking, right?
Since these beaches, much of the West, in some places, in some quarters, and in some capitals, grew comfortable, we forgot that freedom is not free. We forgot that peace is not wished into being. It is bought with purpose, with honor, and with strength. The men who landed on these beaches knew this.
So far, I
The
agree.
question we ask ourselves is, do we? It's past time we remember what they knew. Their legacy demands far more than quiet reflection. It requires our active vigilance. Sadly, today, different European beaches are stormed by different dangerous ideologies. Beaches in Spain, in Italy, in Greece, and Bulgaria, boats and men arrive. When will European capitals do something about that invasion? Or is it too late? I pray not, and I believe not.
Okay, there is no ideology. He's talking about color. What he is saying is, we fought World War II to make to make sure Europe stays white.
No, that's why the Nazis did.
That's what the Nazis did. Exactly right. He is changed sides even in that battle. So they're on the wrong side of World War II. They're wrong side of the Civil War. The wrong side of the Revolutionary War. They're the wrong side today in Ukraine. They're on all sides apparently in Iran, where they can't decide whether we're bombing them or we're at peace. Right. So they literally don't know anything about history. They don't know anything about what makes a country great. They know how to line their own pockets and to hate other people. And again, we're approaching the 250th anniversary of an earth-shaking statement that all are created equal. That despite the elements of our history that are coercive, that have been cruel, and America the most violent place on the planet, right? Despite all of that, this pole star that has helped lift us up for 250 years. We allowed people fought to become full citizens, right? They fought for the right to vote. And it was half the population who happen to be female fought for the right to vote and the right to be included in society. All kinds of immigrants fought for the right to be included and the right to vote. And God knows Black Americans fought for the right to be included and the right to vote. And when they were included, that inclusion carried with it an obligation to contribute to the country. And those contributions help make us all wealthy, help make us all prosperous, help drive science, help do all of those things that we love because we were able to let people contribute to this great country. And this asshole in the White House wants to flush all of that down his tidy bowl pond that he's painting, right? So that what? So that he can skim off the top, line in his own pocket. And when we go down the tube, so what? He'll take his money and go to Russia. I mean, it's just appallingly awful in every way.
Yeah. That concept that all men are created equal. I mean, there is an explicit asterisk that Donald Trump is pursuing, his administration, this right-wing Supreme Court, and it's straight out of Animal Farm. Yes, but some are more equal than others. And you can see that explicitly in decisions like the Supreme Court, where they not only destroyed the Voting Rights Act with their gerrymandering decision, but they've actively gone to dismantle the 15th Amendment of our Constitution. And as we've talked before, this is not the First Amendment they went after. They completely rewrote the Second Amendment as well. This is an out of control Supreme Court that thinks that they can impose their will on us and force us to be a country that we were back in the 1860s. And that is not an appealing message, as you can see in poll after poll. That's why the Republican Party is in trouble for the midterms. That's why the Supreme Court, that in spite of decisions for years that were right-wing, now is at historic lows in popularity and is seen as a political force. And so it's encouraging to see that this campaign is not resonating with people, but at the same time, this is a time where we need to stay vigilant because they do have so much power right now.
A half hour into our conversation, you're going to drop the Supreme Court on me and make my blood pressure go up. I mean, John Roberts and Donald Trump are very similar creatures. They both believe they have more power than Americans gave them. They both have contempt for the idea of democracy, and they both have utter contempt for Black Americans. And it's appalling. I hope it's clear to everybody that when America takes back our government, one of the first things we have to do is reform the Supreme Court, because anything we try to do to improve the country, these robed geniuses will wave their hands and say no. We had campaign finance reform that didn't allow billions of dollars of dark money to pollute our elections.
A bipartisan piece of legislation.
No, gone, doesn't count, can't have it. We had the proudest act of any legislative body ever, the Voting Rights Act, which said everybody in America gets to vote. It's in the Constitution, and these are the laws that are going to enforce it. And he said, no, not happening. And they're even meddling with the Constitution itself, as you said, Susan, which they have absolutely no right to do. I mean, it is a dangerous place when the three branches of government don't work. A constitutional crisis for sure, caused by these power mad men, Roberts and Trump, and the forces that put them there for their own good, not for the good of our country. This goes back a long time to get to this place. So we have to reform the court, and I hope we have the courage to do it, and do it in the beginning weeks of the next Congress.
Yes. When we are able to turn the page on the Trump era and have pro-democracy government once again, there is so much work to be done, and part of that is what you discussed, where we need to rip down Trump's name from everywhere he has put it. He is not allowed to write our history and to inject himself into it as the main character. We also need real accountability which is a lesson I think that we have all learned after January 6th, where the wheels of justice turned much too slowly. There needs to be real accountability for everything that Trump and his administration and his crooked family and associates have done. And that needs to be something that Congress leads the way on, and it has to be something through the courts. And that leads us to what you were talking about, to the third part of all this, which is clearly Trump has been able to exploit weaknesses in our system. Our country is 250 years old. Things need to evolve with that. One thing we've never seen is any real attempt to expand how many people are in Congress, how many people are on the Supreme Court, not for decades. This country is over 300 million people. It is far bigger than the last time that we ever saw any expansions.
Yeah.
As a result, people have so much less representation than they used to. We need to have real reforms in terms of redistricting and the courts and corruption laws, all of that. And it's a daunting task, but I really do feel that we're up to it.
I think we are too. And there are a lot of very interesting ideas out there right now that will address the problem of boundaries, and will address. And by the way, we'll take some of the venom from both sides, where it isn't just winner take all, where the money in politics is so determined to destroy the other side. It's been bad for us. There are things we can do about that. And then there's a word that Americans are going to get to know. It's a word that is not talked about much, but in the next 5-10 years, we're going to hear it a lot. That word is disgorgement. Disgorgement. And that's when people are forced to give up their ill-gotten gains. Right. And I look forward to putting those billions back in the Treasury.
It will be a glorious day when that money can go to pay for the health care that Donald Trump and Republicans stole from people, to go to feed hungry children who no longer have SNAP benefits and can't get school lunches. That will be a glorious day in this country.
Yeah. And they've and as much as I want to do that, we also have to deal with the incredible financial house of cards they've built. They've spent a fortune and not taxed themselves and put that burden on us. They need to pay more in taxes to help us close this loop.
Absolutely.
And the Elon Musk of the world, he's about to make himself a trillionaire, right? Whatever that means. But it does not mean he walks on a different planet than you and I walk on.
Well, that's what he wants.
And he should be involved with the same law. If he wants to go live on the moon, he should go live on the moon. I'm happy to send him there. But as long as he's here, he's got to follow the same rules as the rest of us.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Well, Edwin, I appreciate you being here as always. And thank you to all of you for joining us. As Edwin mentioned, we know that a lot of you share our frustrations with corporate media, and we appreciate you being here on Lincoln Square and to subscribe to independent newsletters like Edwin's, because you are the reason why we do all of this. And you've helped us build this community, this pro-democracy community that helps support each other and fight back against these abuses. So thanks to all of you. And if you don't subscribe, I would encourage you to. You can do so for free. We love having you here.
Thank you, Susan.
Thanks, Edwin.